Replicator competes against doing nothing, built-in Microsoft functionality, and a few specific solutions that provide similar, but definitely not the same support of SharePoint. Here we'll take a look at what helps us win and where we can lose. Here's a quick cheat sheet of where Replicator's competitive strengths are. First, bidirectional. We can replicate from London to New York and New York back to London a document that different people are working on. So this means that the content is close to the user and that they can always have the right content at the right time. Also, another key part of this is that we can do it over high latency and low bandwidth networks. So satellite is an example, or all of Africa for another example. And what this means is we're just taking the smallest differential of the changes that are in the content and moving it over the network instead of moving whole documents, which is what would happen if you started emailing documents over. So this is less bandwidth intensive than even collaborating over email. Talk about a big advantage is multi-farm. Specifically for AvePoint, they only do 2 farms, and we can do up to, I've seen in my limited time here, 40 farms that are connected to replication networks. So that's really exciting, and it brings that average sales price really high up. Also, another advantage is multi-version, and so this is both across replication and SharePoint versions. So what do I mean by that? SharePoint version, easy to understand. You could have one farm that's in 2010 and one farm that's in 2013 and replicate content. We'll do any transformation that is needed in between. What about replicator versions? Well, this is interesting. So imagine you have the ship to shore scenario. What it means is that you can have an older replicator version installed on a ship because you'd have to quite literally mail them a new copy because of the low bandwidth restrictions, and a newer version at the headquarters, and they'll work seamlessly together. So that's really great, giving our customers flexibility to upgrade when they have the chance. Also, SharePoint friendly. Our administrators who are main users are already in the central admin, and here they don't have to go anywhere else. They just click on the same buttons they're used to for application management, and they're into Replicator. Also, we don't only focus on documents like some of our competitors, but we do web parts, security, look and feel, social data, and one key highlight is in-progress workflows. And this is really exciting, and a lot of people are very interested in being able to do that so that their disaster recovery and continuity of operations systems are accurately up to date. So let's go into a few more details. So truth be told, a vast majority of prospects across the MediLogic lead pool don't consider replication a solution. So what does that mean? It means that out of the box or doing nothing is our largest competitor. What helps us win is that users are complaining about performance and want results, and not just descriptions of how the IT organization set up a proper SharePoint architecture. They want results. What will happen is they'll go to other tools, web-based tools, and create risk in the organization for that content. Again, high advantage with low bandwidth, high latency networks, and very big allies against out-of-the-box solutions, and it brings performance to every customer, no matter where they are. So that's an important key thing that helps us win. While there are positive pieces to encourage content replication with third-party tools, we constantly fight against the Microsoft recommendation of a central farm as best practice. Also, we come across the reality that while replication is a nice to have, the SharePoint administrator will have to do a lot of convincing to their director and possibly CIO to get the budget to implement. Moving on to another Microsoft solution is SQL Server replication. And it's an amazing tool, and it's designed for continuity of operations, disaster recovery, but definitely not for globally dispersed organizations, or for that matter, for intranet, extranet. It's one-way replication, and it needs to be on a very low latency. So you're talking milliseconds between farms, which can be done, but is really very expensive. However, if this local disaster recovery scenario is good enough and the two farms are close enough and latency isn't an issue, well, those are big exceptions, then the DBA wins an argument by saying the newest versions of SQL can provide the solution the buyers are looking for. Finally, we'll take a look at AvePoint. So having them highlighted here doesn't mean that we lose to them a lot. Actually, all of the revenue over the past several years, AvePoint might have taken about 1% of our opportunities. It's still good to be aware of our strengths and theirs. Replication for AvePoint is an add-on, while for us it's a dedicated focus. If a customer has more than 2 farms, their system can't handle it. Technically speaking, we're also much better under load, which is important for confidence that all of your information will be brought over when you expect it to. One factor that can actually be helpful or hurtful is that we do replication through central administration. So this is good if a prospect isn't already using AvePoint, so they would have no point of reference. But if they are, well, it's hard to argue that jumping back into central administration when you're using all of the AvePoint tools from their console is good. Again, some other small things, more than 2 farms, we work in-process workflows, web parts, a lot of other SharePoint customizations we do that they can't. Certainly, as with all other tools, our support and the detailed Academy classes that you're able to come to. So, Replicator's biggest competition is the time it takes to investigate content replication as a solution, and accepting the risk for collaboration and mission-critical content that some organizations just are willing to do because they don't want to focus on the possibility of replication. There are a few competitors out there, but we've spent time and effort perfecting low bandwidth, high latency, bidirectional synchronization to bring the content closer to the user. And that's the key strength here, is allowing the users to securely collaborate within their network as fast as they expect. So replication is a good idea.